rampant.
Yeah.
That looks to be... I mean, is it even... I mean, maybe it's even a tri-lane for those three. Unless Fnatic wants to play greedy and run like a jungle Bloodseeker and like a Lion Undying dual lane.
I think Bloodseeker may even go mid against the TA. I feel like it's crazy when you say a melee hero is going to match up better against TA than a Storm Spirit, but...
He does well on the laning stage. He doesn't really... We've seen he does not do that well on his own later on. That's where he'll need this help of the Storm, the Lion, to really wrangle the TA down later on. But yeah, in the laning stage he does great. Phoenix will go Wyvern, so they get some control for Storm. They get great ways to deal with the Bloodseeker with this pick especially. And an okay solution for Spider lanes through the Splinter Blast. Definitely not great. They're a little bit weak against the Brood push, but they're pretty good against everything else, I would say.
Yeah, the Brood is going to be the problem here. I have to see how they manage there. Jarrett copped a lot of kill potential. I mean, early levels, they're fine. They just need a sentry in lane. And if they can find an early kill on Brood, that's incredible for them. If they can stop the Brood from getting level 3, level 4, it really goes a long way. But a well-played Brood is going to just hide in the trees, make sure they sit far enough back and don't overextend to give away that kind of early game advantage to MVP Phoenix.
Well, after last game, all eyes firmly fixed upon QO. Can he cool his jets? Can he relax? Can he reclaim the magic that he's shown us earlier this tournament and take his team to the next level? Or is he just going to succumb to the tilt and get run over mid? We're going to find out here soon as MVP and Fnatic get underway. We'll start with MVP. March handling the offlane on the clockwork. QO will be the Templar Assassin. We've got Nuts playing the Winter Wyvern, Febby on the Shadow Demon, and that leaves KP on the safe lane Gyro. As for your Radiant Squad Fnatic, Ohio will be playing the Brood, Kachik Imba, the Lion with double sentry already picked up, KYXY with an additional sentry of his own on the Storm Spirit, Johnny one last sentry, so they got 2 sets overall on the Undying, and those leave Mushi on the Bloodseeker. Well, with 4 sentries, they really should be able to deward this freaking camp. This is just such an irritating camp to get rid of.
Yeah, and speaking of 4 sentries, similar story on the Dire side. 4 sentries across their 2 supports. Both teams not wasting any money when it comes to, well, willing to waste money when it comes to having detection and dealing with, well, dewarding, or in the case of MVP, dealing with a Brood.
Fnatic's bringing a bit of a trap here. Johnny hasn't skilled anything. He could go for Tombstone. They're going to immediately catch him out. March trapped within the cogs. Mushi went for the silence early on. It's going to catch on too, and that should secure them the bounty rune. March taking a lot of damage from that. Bloodseeker can easily heal himself back up, and KYXY able to claim that bounty rune. KP, meanwhile, up top will get the other one. So 1 for 1, but a lot of harass early on MVP.
And Shadow Demon getting poison level 1, so doesn't have that maybe catch potential for a Brood in the off lane from the get-go, so...
Yeah, and Brood versus a Gyro Shadow Demon, if she gets caught in a bad position, is actually... It's not easy, but she is killable, but...
Yeah. Shadow Demon's actually not a bad support against Brood, because when Brood's like over the trees, if you hit the Brood with Shadow Poison, it can do damage and prevent that over-terrain tree walking. So, yeah. It's a pretty handy hero to have. Shadow Demon looking for a Curious Snipe and not going to get... Febby, I think there was some stat I remember, like MVP Phoenix, Febby snipes more Curious than any other player here at TI. This guy just loves to go for Curious Snipes.
Yeah, they took the safe path back. I feel like with all the Bounty Hunter picks in vogue and the Winter Wyvern supports coming into play, that everybody is on full red alert for those types of plays. We have seen a lot of courier deaths, but they haven't really been courier snipes, at least not when we've been casting. They've mostly been like couriers just getting caught or randomly picked off later on in the game.
Mushi gets pulled off the lane to go D-Ward. There weren't any Tengos left on the line, unfortunately, but they do find it, so D-Ward success.
It took 2, but well worth it to get this camp back under control, and now life going to get a whole lot trickier for March, who is not in a good lane here. It's a clock, he'll be able to get his levels, but Bloodseeker, much like an anti-mage versus a Darkseer, will easily be able to zone you out anytime you run up to the creeps.
And if Brood can, like, once Brood gets like a number of Spiderlings, or maybe if you have Johnny up, he gets some Decay Sex. If you get this support slow, Bloodseeker, he gets that supercharged thirst up, and suddenly it's not going to be a fun lane for March, as a Bloodseeker can just chase him down.
QO doing a bit of side blade damage here. He's now 7-1. Didn't have the best start versus the Storm Spirit mid, as KYXY jumps out to an early lead, but he's now going to bottle a regen rune, and that should allow him to equalize things. Something KYXY would have loved to grab for himself. Has yet to complete his own bottle, as he did go for the early Null Talisman. Has helped him quite a bit in terms of last hitting. His bottle on the way. Pio taking poison damage here top, and he's actually struggling with that sentry ward. He's in a bit of danger. A third poison stack, probably enough to kill him off here, even though it is only level 1.
Yeah, there's a salve on Johnny if he wants to help out his buddy, and it looks like he will do so. So they're trying to guarantee this Brood at least can get some early protection in the form of Undying, but this kind of comes at the cost of Undying not even hitting level 2 yet. Though it is kind of the natural lane for your Undying to want to be in, like in the off lane against the tri lane, hitting those decay stacks, and MVP aren't having any of it. They're just stacks on stacks. That's what Febi's up to here. He's stacked up both medium camps. He's using Shadow Poison to be able to hit multiple places at once, and he's going to continue to do so here in that dire jungle.
Yeah, on the Radiant side, you can even stack these 3 camps at once if you time it just right. So very potent hero if you're allowed to just go back to the jungle constantly. And well, looking at their heroes, Gyro can clean these up. That's probably the main one. Later on, a Wyvern can do a bit of work with the Splinter Blast. They definitely have the horses to get some action done fairly early here. Overall, looking at CS, bit of a lead early for Fnatic. Felt like they would have one just based on the hero matchups early on. And for MVP, they're much more focused on their mid game, getting the TA Roshan attempt going, find the Gyro level 6. I would really love to see MVP move this Gyrocopter around, much in the style of aggressive from CDAC, and just open the game up nice and early. We haven't really seen KP have that opportunity. When he was Omni Knight last game, he moved, but Omni doesn't have that kill potential that, say, a Gyrocopter does.
Yeah, so we'll see how long he looks to stay in this top lane. Probably like the level 7 stages where you can really get active on the map, and it's going to come down to how comfortable they are. Like if they take the Gyro off the lane, will the Brood just push, take towers, and take control of the game? And that's a legitimate concern for them. They don't have that one hero who can just solo against the Brood really at any point of this game. Gyrocopter is always going to need some support, or at least detection up there. TA kind of struggles as well. The Spiderling army will just instantly burn Refraction and force out a meld, so they haven't got that one hero who can just solo and deal with the Brood through AoE.
Huo is holding his own here mid, and he's been blessed with 2 very nice runes. First, the regen when he was completely out of mana, HP, and bottle charges, and now the haste rune that he's mostly topped off. Storm not yet level 6. There is slight potential for a tower dive here, but he doesn't have any... Oh, actually, he does have the 1 point of meld. So, yeah, with that, there is a chance. But he's going to need the right combo. As Mushi swings around the trees, they got the stun off, but didn't want to go with the silence follow-up.
Kind of interesting, like Mushi like swings in the jungle for a bit, gives Ketchikimba a couple of CS here or there, and it seems like maybe they're considering like giving the lane a little bit to the line, but he's just too low in HP, and Clockwork will just have too much solo kill potential on him, so have to be
and also just free farm even if he doesn't kill him.
Yeah. So Mushi comes back to the lane after farming a little bit of the jungle.
I'm really curious if QO can get the ball rolling here. Probably not on KYXY, who's 1 creep from level 6, and QO should know it as he's just hit 6 himself. KYXY unable to kill off that trap, and he does collect his level 6. So kill potential more or less removed. Maybe some harassment potential though. KYXY trying to bait him, has to be careful. That Refraction is very scary at this stage of the game. He'll drop another trap down. Both teams just maneuvering around, but nobody really finding the openings to go in just yet.
Mushi helping out his buddy Ketchik here, and this is great. Like the line gets harassed low by a level. He's going for the rocket flare build, and then he just gets blood. The line gets blood rage and heals himself up by just denying creeps. So it's some really just nice way of using the Bloodseeker to its full potential.
The spell is so much more utility than what I feel like we see even in a lot of pro games, where it's almost always just Bloodseeker using it on himself, but using it on allies, not just for like a Zeus to pop his combo, but even just for the healing potential, as you point out, is a very potent.
Good way to kind of sustain a push if you need to.
Use of the hero. Yeah. Well, Fnatic gonna continue to just fall back to the jungle, and as you mentioned, there are some dire stacks here brewing. There's now a triple stack at the big camp, and let's see, are there any others? It's just Febi starting to actually farm them. He's got the Shadow Poison leveled up, 3 stacks already and rising. They're thinking about a rotation. Kachika's a smoke, and they're gonna pop it now. Not actually scouted. They're going to have this line gone a pretty long time from bottom, as Mushi has a lot of additional move speed now.
Yeah, they're pinging out mid. They've got a sentry for the meld if they need to, but they've got to expect Q. It's the timing where you're going to be stacking the Ancients. 52 seconds pass, so they may have to wait a little bit longer. They put down a high ground ward, so even if they don't instantly find a kill, this is still valuable vision that they've got, and TA does come back to lane after the
has the regen, but QO wants to save it and use this first round of refraction, and that is going to end up costing him mightily. Tombstone deployed, detections there, first blood for KYX.
Oh, that's a rupture on March.
He gets ruptured as he TPs in, and they're going to go for a secondary kill. He's trapped, surrounded by the Storm Spirit and friends, and they get the kill. KYXY needs that tower aggro off him. Actually, Johnny says, I got you, buddy. And, well, just unfortunate. Normally, if you're a TA, you push it to the limit, you pop the refraction, use the charges, then you back off, use the regen rune, get an extra round of refraction out of that rune, but it's got a bit greedy there, and with the supports gone, ends up costing him.
There are a lot of sacks in this dire jungle, though, some of which have been farmed by Shadow Demon.
I thought they were going to go looking, but they, in fact, most of them have been, and he's level 4.5 gods.
Yep. Not sure if he'll take this big camp as well. May feel that QO needs it more than him, which I'm probably more valuable on the TA. Who actually finds a DD rune. You're talking about finding some valuable runes. Haste, at this point,
double regen DD. He's gotten every big rune since the beginning of the game.
And it looks like he's just going to farm his Ancients now, which is maybe the safer thing to do. You see a lot of heroes on the map. If you wait too long, they're going to look to contest it.
This is really the emerging trend with Templar Assassin players. We didn't used to see nearly as much of it, but it really is all about the Ancient stacks right now. Get the fast Deso, especially if you're dire, look towards the Roshan, and give a lane to a support who MVP may look to have take over that middle lane. Not yet, though. March and KP, both level 6 and ready to move. They're rotating towards Mushi in the bottom lane. Could get caught here. Hook is available. No vision right now for the Dire squad. They don't see him.
Spidey senses tingling,
but
though,
they may expect it, and unfortunately, he TP's top. This lane's empty.
They don't see Gyro top, and this is just like a level 7 Gyro goes missing. This play's been made so many times that Mushi just reads it and sees it coming. Gone top rupture. They don't get a cancel on the TP though. Wyvern.
But meanwhile, mid, Kachigana will get caught and finished off as the Lion. So it's MVP who strike first in that lane. But Fnatic now working on a tower, and I think they'll trade not getting a kill for having a tower. Mid lane, not nearly as low, and there is still a glyph available here. Looks like KYXY already coming back. They're bringing in Johnny. They've got the level 3 tombstone. They can fight this. There is a call down available. It's in a pretty good location. Johnny not going to get hit by the first bounce, but it doesn't matter. The rocket barrage almost finishing him off. KYXY able to walk away to the one place that's safe in the tree line. He's got a ball lightning to get out of here, and he's going to have to use it soon as KP forces him back. He can go in with another rocket barrage. The salve canceled. Very nicely played. Brood Mama, though, starting to extend her tentacles into this jungle. Mushi was a bit late to the party. Would have loved to get involved there with the tower dive. But yeah, now Ohio has room, and they do not have a good hero to hunt a Brood.
So pretty good sequence of events for MVP. Some nice movements. I mean, as much as the initial smoke with the Gyro gets red and doesn't work out, he then adapts and says, okay, let's go mid. Someone's going to be here, even if it's just to support leeching experience, and then they force the rotations from Fnatic. So they don't allow Fnatic to just keep pressuring the top lane. Ahaya's still up there. Well, at least he's solo pressuring, but they're not really able to get this tier 2 tower with Brood alone at this early stage of the game, so...
I'm a little worried at their ability to shut down the Brood, though. Ohio had a really slow start, but they're not the best heroes to gank this. Do have a dust on nuts right now, but jungle will be more or less off limits unless they want to send multiple heroes on a foraging mission. Johnny did ward the enemy Ancients, but he may end up paying for this. They have the Winter's Curse. They're going to get it off. That's a kill that QO would really like. He'll claim it. Now he moves forward into the bottom lane. KP getting caught. There's a quick finger. Follow-up pull. The hook by March, only hitting his teammate, and even cogs him in to ensure his demise. Wouldn't have mattered anyway, though, as he was going down regardless. QO now maybe looking for his own dive. Simultaneously, Mushi pressuring the middle lane. Splinter Blast slows him down a little bit. Tower in danger, though, and Ohio nukes Febby once, brings him almost to critical HP, but Mushi's too low, and he's got to back and heal up.
Respecting the Shadow Poison as well. He had a couple stacks, and that is, I think, level 3 Shadow Poison. Yeah, so Shadow Demon about to hit level 7.
And we're going to see Febby rushing the Nags gods. Early point booster.
Okay.
Now, the new Ags, it also applies the break, right?
Yes.
So it disables all passives, correct?
Yes.
Which means it
Bloodseeker
could hard counter Bloodseeker.
Yeah.
Similar to a Silver Edge, except it goes through BKB. That's actually pretty strong.
That's something handy.
Now, it's a big item to have to farm for most supports, But we've seen maybe that must have been the game plan from the beginning, because
even getting rid of stuff like incapacitating bite from a Broodmother can be handy in a fight. So
that's definitely a nice bonus.
This is a pretty handy item to have on a Shadow Demon. Especially, it looks like it's going to be a realistic purchase. Having already the point booster and another 560 gold is well,
and you get 2 as well as the other big thing. You get or is it 3 now?
The 3 charges.
Oh, yeah, it was 2 initially, and then they buffed it to 3. Yeah, you get the charges, so you can use it multiple times in the fight if need be. I'm really excited. I want to see how this turns out. This feels like it could be very tough for Fnatic to deal with as the pressure comes mid lane. QO did not go for the Deso rush. He went into an early Blink Dagger. KP going to join him, and they will get the tower mid. The hook shot, hitting the creep again. March not finding his openings. He gets ruptured, but he's got a lot of backup here. He walks out of the Blood Rage, or the Blood Right, rather. And Mushi looks to chase, but with Cogs blocking the chase, he won't find his opening. It's... Honestly, the more that I think about it, with that also coming into play, you've got the Purge, but additionally, you have to run into Gyro, you have to run into Cogs, and Winter's Curse. Even a disruption just to save a teammate. This is going to be a really hard Bloodseeker game, Gods.
Yeah, there's a lot of answers to Bloodseeker. Similar story with the Brood. This is where...
The Storm, it feels like, is the hero.
Yeah.
They don't have much lockdown for KYXY.
KYXY is just going to continue to farm and just have his way here at the bottom lane. Looks to go back in. Nuts on that Winter Wyvern. Could be in some trouble, but KYXY, that Meld Strike. Takes away half his HP in one right click.
Dire's middle tower is under
Mushi
attack.
now going to take out this tower mid. There is a glyph available and not popped. Alright, they'll just let it fall. They'll give Mushi his free gold. And he is rushing either a Sanj or a BKB. We'll see what the choice is momentarily here. Standard build is the BKB.
This early game has not gone as well as maybe Fnatic would have hoped. They're up by about 2,000 net worth, but when you've got a Brood on your team, you're maybe expecting a bit more to happen. They even gave the Brood that early Undying support to help secure his laning stage. And QO he's easily in this game, has the Blink Dagger, finds himself a T1 tower, and that's the second tower in quick succession that MVP have claimed. First one with the Gyro mid, and now bottom lane, so they are finding their feet here in game 1 against Fnatic.
Fnatic are pressuring this tier 2. No defense coming. MVP with the Roche. And what do you know? Another just amazing rune pickup. QO. Sure, it's one thing to get the rune every time, but he's always getting the real rune, not the bounty rune. And it's a big one at the right moment. This should be the Roche. Now, Mushi does have a little bit of extra move speed, so he might suspect something's going on. But even if he does, can he really get here in time is the big question. QO able to tank through this one for a while. He can reapply the meld. There would KP to tank it ideally. As Fnatic move towards the middle lane as a pack. Mushi only now leaving the base and getting back out there. It's too late. QO with the Aegis. Beautiful sneak for MVP. Now has the next Mithril Hammer. And I'm just looking at the net worths, and outside of the cores, Gods, this Shadow Demon is so far ahead of every other support in the game.
He kind of just jungled this game. I mean,
it really was a jungle Shadow Demon.
Very reminiscent of like the jungle Keeper of the Light kind of we saw from AUI, and we've seen a few other players try. It's something unconventional. You kind of expect him to be kind of imposing himself more in the lane, but you can just jungle with this hero, and with items, Shadow Demon can make a lot happen. I mean, in general, just farm supports have been kind of a key thing for teams to have as you go into the mid-game. Having 4 staffs, Glimmer Capes, in this case, it's going to be an Aghanim Scepter applying multiple demonic purges with break to multiple targets.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see this thing in action. Even if it's a disaster, I just want to see it. It's been a while. I think I've seen it once so far in competitive. Well, still got a little bit longer to go before that will come into play. As MVP smoke, it's a deep smoke. Oh, Febby. Well, they know he wants his items. This time will be punished. KYXY finally starts to find those openings. Only 4 kills for Fnatic. Running a Bloodseeker Storm Lion, you'd expect a little more blood. And they do see Mushi here. Hook. He's searching. The trap's going to set it up. Very nice combination. And now they leave it with QO. Bloodright is going to connect on 2 heroes, but no follow-up at this point.
Yeah, not a problem for MVP. The easy, fast pick-off, then they can just now apply some pressure to the bottom tier 2 town with Aegis still online with KP there. He's up to 1200 HP with the Sanj pickup. They're not really in a position where they can get jumped on by a Storm Spirit too easily. The Finger of Death is available though, so that's the one concern.
Maybe they can go on KP. Probably not QO with the Aegis as well as Refraction. That doesn't seem advisable.
You're definitely, if you go in him with like a Blink Line, or line, no point I'm talking about Blink Line, but if you go in him with the Storm Zip and then Line follow-up, it's a definite kill on line with the TA Blink, so... Have to be very cautious about any kind of aggression against this TA right now.
At most, you get the Aegis. That's going to be it. 950 gold till this exciting Shadow Demon Aghanim's. Well, in the meanwhile, for Fnatic, I worry about the impact of the Undying pick this game. We saw it from Chuan earlier, where an Undying that just doesn't do much in the laning stage really is not a factor later on in the game, and he doesn't have the lockdown that you'd love to have against the TA. Compare that to like what a Wyvern's going to bring to the table, even with minimal farm. What do you think Fnatic can do at this point?
As far as the Undying is concerned, it's not going to be quite the impact you'd hope from the hero, and they aren't looking to teamfight. They want to find pickoffs once they get this Bloodstone start getting the charges going. Brood's going to just kind of keep playing that kind of solo pesky game up in the top lane as well as the Dire jungle. Has got a string of webs towards mid lane, so if they find kills towards mid lane, that is a possibility. It looks like that's what they have in mind.
Gonna need to TP quickly, but Kachikimba's coming as well with the rupture follow-up. There's the hook shot. Cooldown's gonna connect on one hero, just on Ohio, who heals his way right through it. And with the blood rate going off, he's gonna find March as well. They end up getting 2 kills. Kachikimba, the one with the last hit, that will get him well on his way to his Blink Dagger, but there's the Purge on Ohio, slowing him down. Soul Catcher, not enough. They get the Soul Rip, keeps him in fighting condition. MVP, unable to really punish this move. But they do have a Deso on QO now. I feel like I just saw him get the first Mithril Hammer. And what do you know, Guts? Another double damager. This is a little ridiculous.
And this time around, he's not using it for Ancients. He's going to hold on to that one and hope to find a kill or two.
You kill these Ancients, you go heal, and then you go fight with your DD rune.
Maybe they look for something like a smoke with a Winter's Curse. You can even kill a Storm Spirit with a DDTA.
They don't have a smoke right now. Is there one coming out? Yep. Yes, there is.
Courier has one, and
they could go. They could just go now if he wants to use his bottle charges.
I wouldn't see so.
KYXY, normally a tough target, but they do have the curse, as you mentioned. Well, KYXY, he is farming well, and that's the good news here for Team Fnatic, is their cores are mostly ahead, aside from the Templar Assassin. So Mushi has been consistently focusing on his CS. He went Sanjin Yasha after the Midas. Just getting these cheap items that allow you to fight a bit better now as QO makes his move. He didn't pop the DD rune. It would have been close to killing KY.
Trying to chew through his Aegis here, which he only has for about 20 seconds left.
Oh, you don't want to chew through it and then get punished. Top lane, hook on Ohio, trapped within the cogs. Truck Barrage follow-up, he tries to heal his way through it, and it's just not enough. He goes flat. Meanwhile, bottom, they're jumping QO. Have they written down the time perfectly? QO need that Aegis to pop right now, but the silence, man of costing as well as the rupture. Can he blink out in the nick of time? No, he refracts and tries to man mode his way up, and the double damage, and he almost kills out Mushi. The Rocket's gonna do the work. He finishes up the Tombstone, and finally QO may have a game where he can start making plays for the team, and guess what we have, gods? A Shadow Demon Aghanim Scepter at 20 minutes. Febby just looking for somebody to latch onto. It's going to be Johnny if he gets caught out here, who suffers. This ultimate, 3 available. Oh, he's just fogged.
Range.
Just fogged on the boundary.
Oh, QO wanted back in as well. Once that Rupture wore off, he was ready to get chasing. Very close to getting that Stormster as well. He was very low mana. I was thinking like 150 mana after he bowled so far, as far as he did to kill QO the first time, but VP find themselves in a position where they can take a tier 2 tower and potentially take this fight. They have to be careful that QO doesn't have Aegis anymore.
They curse KYXY. It's under a lot of heroes, even through the Soul Rip. He melts. The Shadow Demon, Demonic Purge, 3 still available, 1 on Ohio. He's out of the picture. Probably going to reserve 1 for Mushi, who's about to TP in. There's your Purge, and Mushi, you ain't going anywhere, my friend. He's slow as molasses right now. He runs into QO. He is doing some big damage, and they don't have any mana for an additional Purge. That's the one downside of this. It's extremely mana intensive. March is going to have to run to the left, and Febby is going to be trapped without a TP. Nux will die, and he's going to double back, pick up Febby as well. Mushi with the triple. Oh, he needed more mana. It might not have mattered, though. The TA was in a bit deep.
At that point, once the TA goes down, the Gyrocopter also top lane, fighting KYXY. That was the big thing. They didn't have Gyrocopter there, so once the TA goes down, the fight's over. Clockwork doesn't even have max battery. Okay, he's just got max battery sold after getting some levels from that fight, but you haven't got the damage or the ability to keep on fighting with the TA down. So they needed to keep the TA alive, which, I mean, you're going in that deep. You can only really play around Refraction and Blink so much, and at Fnatic, their main emphasis at the start of that fight was just killing TA, and then they can worry about the supporting cast.
Mushi will back off. March was looking for a hook, and At this point, still no BKB, so a hook is basically a kill if there's a +1, as they look for a potential hill ward. Not going to find anything. Still a while before this Roche will respawn. And Fnatic are going to go back to what they were doing before, which is pushing out the side lanes, farming their tri-core, and just slowing the game down a bit. And it seems that's where they're more comfortable. Not fighting MVP now. They do it under their own tower, and that's one thing, but going after them at this stage doesn't seem to be the game plan. It's farming for 10 minutes from now, or maybe even 5. Solar Crest Broodmother. Interesting.
Yeah, we're seeing kind of pseudo-utility builds every now and then. I've seen some, I think Zai did like a medallion rush where he didn't actually upgrade to the Solar Crest fully, but putting Evasion on the Bloodseeker can help him out a lot against the TA.
They do see QO. I don't know if Ohio and icefrog can do this themselves, and they do have a lot of vision. They see KP in the neighborhood. They also saw Bebby, but QO jumps in a bit further than expected, and now the Tombstone comes out and they engage quickly. Disruption already used, and it was used not on the TA, but on the Storm, which just gives them free reign over the fight. Johnny hooked and maybe ends up falling here, but even if he does, he's already done his job as Mushi rushes in, searching for Febby, and does bring him down. Who needs move speed when you can just auto-attack a hero right next to you? He's gonna heal up again. This is the disaster scenario versus a Bloodseeker, where he keeps on auto-attacking and healing up through every possible fight, giving you the vision you need, and 4 collapse for MVP, crumbling as a massive, actually a pretty colossal gold swing for this stage. Goes back the other way. 4,000 experience, about 3,000 gold overall exchanged. And now Fnatic right back on top. We've been on the roller coaster here, gods. Up and down. It's been close, but now Fnatic getting an edge.
A little bit tipsy-turvy, and Fnatic, the big thing there was just the vision advance. They have sentries all around where that fight took place. They have observer vision as well if you look further north towards the secret shop, and they use that to their advantage. They found the TA using the spiderlings, and yeah, they fed a few spiderlings, but they knew that the TA was isolated enough that they could kill the TA and then just take the fight from there.
Mushi's in trouble here. He did pop the rupture on Mark, who's blade mailed right now. The stun prevents him from moving, and it's a beautiful sacrifice. The student protects the master as Kachikimba takes one for Mushi, who was his mentor dating back to his original competitive debut.
He's surrounded by creeps.
Where? Oh. Oh.
He almost died. There's like 6 creeps doing a full body block on him.
Close call there. KP, meanwhile, mid lane gets jumped and will be dealt with. Fnatic just starting to pounce on these isolated targets, and they're looking for a bit more, but Mushi is not with them. They really could use the Bloodseeker. He's even drawing the circles and lines on the map, indicating, I'm not there, guys. Just relax.
They just key pickoff after key pickoff. The gyrocopter going down. They lose a line at bottom lane, but keeping Mushi alive, so Mushi now hits level 16. He's got the Shadowblade SMY, another 2.2k gold, so his item progression starting to look really good. Picks up a Talisman, so MKB is going to be the name of the game for Cure. I talked about it when we saw this earlier. TA unlikely to finish a date unless you just want the MKB ASAP. Otherwise, you just struggle to deal damage against a Solar Crest Brood and a Talisman on Bloodseeker.
Yeah, especially with the double evasion factor. I think last time it was only the butterfly on burning, but this really justifies it. March again looking for the hook.
Oh, no.
He's gonna miss. He's ruptured. He can blade mail while he runs away. At least do some damage to Mushi, but opts just to walk out.
And Mushi's pretty tanky, I guess, but
he's probably just gonna go heal it up regardless. But 2 low cooldown spells used, nothing happens. Go back to farming. But I do go back to the Storm Spirit we talked about in the draft, gods. We are seeing it now. KYXY is playing not the Dream Storm game, but close to it. There is really nothing except for a Winter's Curse, and Nuts is really the 6th position with the amount of farm Febby's taking off the map, so he has no blink, he has no mobility. There's no real easy way to get a curse off. As Fnatic move into the river, they snag a haste run. It was spotted by the Dire side if they were watching, and the circle's drawn by March. Fnatic move in. They look to go here. A solitary Spiderling giving the vision that Fnatic might need to try and press up.
They de-ward, but they now know exactly where MVP are.
Oh, do they go? Mushi wants it. He's looking for the silence. This could be a 4-5 hero flood right if he gets it right, but no. The hook shot's there first, and Mushi's trapped within. Winter's Curse keeping in position. He goes absolutely preserved and will get caught out and picked off in the cogs. It does free up KYXY, who looks to go onto KP, finishes him off, and in turn, Ohio moves in onto KO. They've already gotten 3. Mushi's fought back a 3 for 2, about to be a 4 for 2. And Mushi with the buyback wants this Roche. A triple for Ohio when
that
the dust
tombstone
settles.
on the high ground. That positioning was really nice by Johnny, and they just fought under tombstone. Decay stacks galore. I mean, the MVP draft can always pick off one hero. Like, you can choose one, be a Bloodseeker Storm, and they're going to die to a Hookshot, Winter's Curse, and the TA Blink Melt Strike, but the follow-up fight, they have nothing for. So if you go on Mushi, it's KYXY and Ohio who just wreak havoc. If you go on KYXY, it's going to be Mushi getting that triple kill, that ultra kill. So it just doesn't feel like they have an answer for every hero in any given fight. They can kill one, but then from there, their fight doesn't go anywhere.
And so far, the Shadow Demon Ags, it sounded really interesting on paper, but it just hasn't really worked out, and I think it goes exactly to your point, which is that it's not only about the Bloodseeker here. It's not even about the Brood. It's much more to me about the Storm, and at best it's about all 3, which is not what you want. You want just that one key hero that you can just keep on purging, keep him out of the fight for 15 seconds, and then you just win from there, but that's not how these fights have been going.
And now it's a Storm with 15 Bloodstone charges and Aegis as well. Things are going to be very tricky, and keeping this mid lane has to be careful. He has not got a BKB yet, and this Storm could jump him if he wants to.
Also worth pointing out, Ohio got the Dire Gem after that fight, so now it's a Brood running around with detection and dewarding potential, and you know, it used to be Brood wouldn't be that great at it, but now she can just go anywhere with the web, so she's actually an excellent dewarder. Rocket will connect. Oh, the hook and Spider Leech from March. Not what the doctor ordered as Ohio fights him in the cogs. He keeps on healing up, kept alive by his Undying. Again, great support play by Johnny to save him, and it's KP's turn to run in, but it won't work. There's your finger. Kachik Gemba says, get out of here. It's Bebby next. He'll fall short lead. Blake, no way. Kachik Gemba ends him, and now the last man standing is Nuts. On the run through the trees, has the TP. Blood right. Not going to connect. The neutrals almost punish him. He's left to survive, but 4 dead again. And the game just spirals further and further out of control.
And really big play from Ohio there. He gets hit by the missile, and that reveals his position. So Clockwork knows where he's been hit by the missile and is ready to go for the hookshot, but Ohio is just microing his Spiderlings to block the pathway between him and the Clockwork consistently, and there's no way around it. Clockwork's thinking as soon as the dust comes out, like he was hooking before the dust was even thrown, it looked like, but the Spiderling's just in the way.
And also great play by Johnny there. The Soul Rip, Tombstone, and the mech. It kept the Brood alive, fighting through Blade now without BKB, which I don't know if Ohio just got it or if he just chose not to pop it in that fight
afterwards.
Probably would did, as otherwise he likely would have used it. But either way, Fnatic take the tier 3 mid. And they zero in on a potential lane of Rax here, getting ever closer to a Game 1 win. Well, Southeast Asia has 3 teams competing in TI Gods, but right now all of them are fighting for their lives and to stay out of that loser bracket. Hot 6 had a really nice showing in the 1 match versus Vici. Still a rough day 1. Phoenix has had a rough day 2 so far, and it looks like it may even get rougher from here if they can't pull it together versus Fnatic.
And QO felt like he had to go for a BKB, which means Monkey King Bar is just not in sight anytime soon.
And he just becomes the obvious rupture target now. You definitely rupture him every fight.
This is where, I mean, I feel like Rupture Spell, you don't have to, there's not always about the dream target. It's just like whoever's out of position in front. It's like a spell that forces a fight to break out because you've got to protect the hero that gets ruptured. So it's less about choosing a target and, well, it's less about having an ideal target and more about just how the fight kind of breaks out. But
if he sees him, he's going to go for it. Spevy gets caught mid, he gets pulled back in. KYXY with the jump. He'll find the pickoff here and now looking to retreat. Call down, not yet planted, and they're going to engage with the BKB from Ohio. Winter's Curse is there, but it's KYXY hitting Ohio, and he doesn't even tickle him. He's all magic damage. It hardly matters. Ohio just munches away. They brought down 3. It's 4 soon to follow. 1 last remnant. There's the overload. Nuts even pulled in, and it's wipe time for MVP. Cleaned up and just shipped away into Game 2. Another thrashing here at the International 5. it just keeps getting harder for Phoenix.
Yeah, for a good 15-20 minutes, this game was very even back and forth. TA played things right, had the ancient stacks, we found some fantastic runes. They got the Aegis, but that one fight bottom at the tier 2 tower was where things just suddenly got completely out of control. Before that fight, MVP were in this and actually kind of holding their own, but after that, it was just